Hello, good morning, afternoon, evening from every part of the world. Thank you for coming again to my channel, the Topladytee media channel. And if you find this video on my LinkedIn profile, or probably you were able to find it on Facebook, thank you so much for coming to this channel. This is just the continuation of my story, and I like to give a summary of the past video talking about how getting to Japan, how I faced some spiritual attack on getting to Japan that almost led to suicide, but God spared me. And afterward, I was able to finish my studies and graduate with a PhD in one of the reputable universities in Japan. After planning to settle down, it became a tug of war and it was difficult for me to get a job on time. Subsequently, after I got a job, it was a battle against life because I was set up in the place where I worked by some people who want me to stop inviting people to church using my social media profiles. But I thank God, God spared me. They used seppuku, they used different witchcraft powers, but God defeated them. The last video showed that I invited the police to my house who escorted me to the place of work. I submitted my resignation letter in the presence of the police. I was able to leave the job without a scratch because God kept me. Now, going forward, I'll be dwelling on what happened after I left the job. That will be the focus of this video. But prior to starting that, I want to acknowledge God for His message. There was one thing that happened while I was praying. If you check the previous video, there was a place I mentioned that God told me that night not to sleep but to pray because the attack was enormous. He told me not to sleep. And one notable thing that happened when I was praying with the language of the spirits of Bishop David Oyedepo, I was praying with my mouth and also playing the recordings of the speaking in tongues of Bishop Oyedepo. One striking thing happened, and that thing is spectacular to my deliverance that day. You know, I mentioned that around past 3 a.m. or so, those guys stopped trying to snuff life out of me. They stopped it. What happened was that I was playing the speaking in tongues of Papa and praying alongside. It got to a stage, my phone stopped playing. It was playing continuously, as in, you know, when you put something in repeated play, once it finishes, it starts playing automatically again. That was what I put that speaking in tongues of Bishop Oyedepo. That was the setting I put that sound into. And at a point, I just observed that he stopped playing. I was like, what happened? I checked my phone. My phone gave me a warning. It said, imminent sign of tornado. It said there is a tornado coming, a heavy tornado coming. In Japan, there are some measures that are put in place to notify people about natural disaster. For example, if there is an earthquake coming, my own phone, even if I switch it off, it will come up. It will switch itself automatically on that earthquake is coming. Get kitted or get prepared. Earthquake is about to happen. So that was the case. My phone was playing the speaking in tongues of Bishop David Oyedepo, and it just stopped, and I heard some vibrating sounds. I was like, this phone is well charged. What's happening? I just checked it. It told me there is a tornado warning. Wow. It did that like, was it 2 or 3 times? And it stopped. And it was immediately after then, I was like, okay, it's tornado warning. Let me keep praying. And it was after that point in time that I observed that I just found peace within me. All those trying to drag one chest out, all those tightness in the chest stopped. I was like, wow, this guy saw tornado and they stopped what they were doing. You know, in the spirit realm, there are some precautions they tell them that when this happens, you do this. When this happens, you do this. And To me, I just framed it that, oh, God used tornado to scatter them. Because it's actually written in the Bible. He said the wild wind shall scatter them. He said the wind shall drive them away, the wild wind shall scatter them. I will rejoice in the Lord my God, and be joyous in the Holy One of Israel. It's in the Bible. The Bible actually says they should gather together. It said, gather together, all ye nations, and be shattered. Listen, all ye distant lands, prepare for battle, and be shattered. Devise your strategy, it shall be thwarted. Propose your plan, it shall not stand, for God is with me. Another part of the scripture says, for God is with me as a mighty terrible one. Therefore all my persecutors shall stumble. They shall not prevail. They shall be greatly ashamed. They shall not prosper. They shall fall. Their everlasting confusion shall never be forgotten. We're talking about God's defense for his children against the enemies. He said the wild wind shall scatter them. And wild wind is like a strong wind, like tornado. So I was like, oh, God used tornado to scatter these people. Wow. And immediately I had peace within my mind. I was like, oh, glory to God. And I was able to sleep a little before I prepared for work that day. And I discovered they put a more dangerous charm on the seat. I already told you what happened afterward. It was after then that I confronted them through praying out loud, although not loud, but I had to pray out loud because the wickedness of the wicked had to come to me. Afterward, I invited police to my house and I left the company. So now, today's story, I'll be picking it from when I left the company. Yeah. After I tendered my resignation letter, I had to find a way of getting another accommodation. And getting an accommodation in Japan is tied to your source of income. Will you be able to pay house rent or anything like that? I was like, oh, I didn't plan everything that happened. My money was taken away and it was like I was having barely any savings left. So I had to go to the city office. I tried to explain my situation and they got an English speaker for me who I presented my mother to. Before I got to the city office, I didn't know what to do. I made some calls to labor force, as the labor force of Japan. I explained what happened to me, that some people tried to kill me at work. They didn't take me serious. Most of the agencies I contacted didn't take me serious because I was confused about what to do. I was low on income. I had to vacate the company house. So many things happened at the same time. Well, I wasn't feeling bad that I left the job because we're talking about life here. Not when they brought there to the office that it must kill you. You just have to apply your common sense because it's when you're alive that you can work, right? I didn't blame myself for leaving or quitting the job, but I just have to move forward, right? In Kyoto International Center, they were the ones that told me I should go to the city office and they will speak with one person. Initially at the city office, they didn't understand me. I was like, where am I coming from? I explained the situation to them. They got an English speaker for me and that person, I tried to explain my situation to her and she tried to translate it for them. Although there are some English speaking staff there, but at least with the help of someone that could speak both English and Japanese, they understood me better. And it was like, let's try to find you a job. Of course, I couldn't get a job, right? They tried to search for a job, even if it was part-time, just for me to be able to at least balance again. I wasn't able to get a job. I went for several interviews, but I wasn't able to get a job. We got to a stage. I told them that the company was telling me to leave the house and I would need an accommodation. And the welfare unit of that city hall tried to link me with a housing agent. Those housing agents are in charge of refurbishing old houses and something like that. I got connected with them. Some of the city hall staff followed me. One of them drove me. He drove to the residence of the housing agents and Those ones said there is a vacant apartment, although it's an old apartment that I just have to manage it. That's the only thing available. They asked for my income. I was low on finance because of what happened. So they said the only house they could release for me to temporarily stay in was an old abandoned house. It was abandoned. So if I could manage and put my stuff, I was like, in as much I don't sleep outside in the cold. Because that was around December. Yeah, I left that company house in December. I said, in as much I'm not sleeping outside in the cold, I'll manage. Of course, when I got to the house, they showed me the house. I was like, wow, it was smelly, it was old deserted house, but at least I would find somewhere to stay. You understand? So I decided to stay there. It was the day I eventually moved my things. So I discovered that that particular house shared a fence with the town cemetery. As in, you open your window, you just see tomb of dead people. I was like, what? Is this where I want to stay? I was not. Open window? Oh my god. I told them, please, I can't stay here. They said that's the only house available. I was like, God, see what these people pushed me into, God. What would I do? I didn't have a choice. Even those ones I was thinking, probably I reach out to them. Everything blocked. There was no other place to stay. I decided to stay there, and it was old house. I was like, okay, I cleaned the space I was staying, just put my stuff, and it was like a duplex, upstairs, downstairs, and old house, you understand. But it was, it's old, it was smelly. I had to wash the toilet over and over and over before I could stay. Oh my god. I thank God because I was able to find somewhere to lay my head. That first night, I went to the kitchen area. I could feel the presence of spirits. I went to the kitchen and it was as if something was hurled at me. It was as if somebody hurled something at me. It's like half part of my body was becoming paralyzed. I plead the blood of Jesus. I spoke in the language of the spirits and I sent it back to sender. And I blessed that building and anointed it. I was like, you spirits, I am here to stay. You don't stay here, you vacate here for me. Pending the time I will stay here, I'm here to stay. You don't disturb me. I chased those spirits out. An abandoned building next to the cemetery. Some spirits leave their tomb and come and stay in the house. Wow. Oh my god, I went through so many things. I'm smiling now, but it wasn't good. But I thank God for His presence. Even when you go to the wilderness, when you have God's presence with you, you are safe, right? I went to the kitchen and half of my body was getting paralyzed. I said, no. I said, you spirit, I rebuke you in the name of Jesus. I sent it back. What they threw at me, I sent it back to them. And immediately, after some minutes, I got my body back. And I pled the blood of Jesus and anointed the house round. I cleaned the building and I was living there. Initially, those agents told me that I could stay there for 6 months. So I was hoping I would stay there for 6 months, that I would have stabilized based on, the knowledge I have from all those make money online opportunities, the legit ones I knew. I felt I would be able to stabilize more and get a better house for myself. But on signing the contract, they said I would only be spending 3 months. That was December to March. Yeah, it was late December that I left. December 22. Was it December 22 that I moved to that apartment? So March. Yeah, so they said I'll be staying for just 3 months. Okay. So within that space, oh my God, I faced a lot of battle, spiritual battle. You know, spirits have been staying in the house. You will not be not say you want to stay there. That is great deliverance. I faced a lot of battle. I was just fighting one battle to the other. Oh my God, so many things that cannot even be said with mouth. I was like, oh, what is this? It affected my work. Even the work I had planned to do, I couldn't do anything. And at that point, I was like, I would have gone back to my country if not for the bill on the credit card I was using. At that time, I would have gone back to my country. So it got to a stage, I had to get money again for the credit card, from the credit card to pay the house rent and everything. At the time, I think they just blocked my credit. I couldn't access money. I faced a lot. Eventually, the 3 months elapsed and they told me I have to get another accommodation. That I think they wanted to sell the house and everything. At that time, the people at the city office of where I left, before I left that city office, because they didn't get a house for me within that vicinity where my former workplace is, I had to leave Kyoto for Osaka. The accommodation that particular old house was in Osaka. So I had to leave Kyoto for Osaka, you know, and I had to stay there for 3 months based on the contract. And when the 3 months elapsed, I was like, they should give me 1 extra month because I was in between. If I could raise money, I would just clear the credit card and leave for my country. Enough was enough, right? But I was like, how will I leave bills on credit card and go back to my country? It was just tough. That moment was tough for me. Even if I said I wanted to go back to my country, I didn't even have money to go back. It was that bad. I was just stuck. I was seriously stuck. So when matter came to that stage, I told them to give me 1 month to see if I would be able to just make do with my learning, make money opportunities, all those training I had invested in to train myself to make money online. Probably I would just be able to get something. Before I left that former place, that Kyoto town hall, they told me that I had done some part-time job because immediately I graduated, my professor told me I could stay back, that he would give me a 3-year stay. In fact, I got my visa changed to professor, right? From student visa to professor visa. So he said he has some things I will do, you understand? So that had made me settle my mind to stay back in Japan. I was like, oh wow, that's great. That's great, you understand? But just along the line before, so he gave me some 6 months to work, part-time job, thinking he would get a grant that would sponsor my 3-year stay. Unfortunately, he told me before the 6 months elapsed that he wasn't able to get the grant, so I had to go back to my country or get another job. Of course, he supported me in trying to get another job, suggested some jobs for me, but jobs were not forthcoming then. I was back to square one. It was tough. That was shortly after I graduated, before I faced almost a year hurdle of no job. And after I eventually got the job, see what those people at the workplace did to me that made me resign. So, when it got to a stage that I was leaving the Kyoto city office, they told me since I had done part-time job for some specific period that I was entitled to some pay. Because when doing the part-time job, I subscribed to all these employee benefits insurance, such that even if you quit your job, if you are unable to get a job, if your work gets terminated or something around that, they can pay you benefits for some months based on how long you've worked in Japan. So for me, they said I was entitled to 3 months benefit. So that was what I was able to manage to secure another accommodation with when I left that the close to cemetery accommodation. Those agents asked me that I could get accommodation with them or with another person. I was like, those people that helped me at a very critical time, is it not good if I get accommodation with them since they understood my story? So I told them to help me get an accommodation, thinking I would balance, because that place would be more convenient and conducive to do my online business based on the ideas I have generated over time. I told them they should get me a house. They got me an accommodation in Osaka, but in a different city. I had to move from Mirakata city after I couldn't stay there because of the contract end. They gave me 1 month extra. I paid the 1 month and I had to move because they said they wanted to sell the house. So I moved to Daito city. On getting to Daito city, then began another round of war. I thought I was done with warfaring after leaving that job. I never knew that one was a rehearsal. The big deal started in Daito city. I had thought, now I've gotten a better accommodation. I'll be able to do my work under a good atmosphere, a relaxed atmosphere. I'll be able to earn money and continue with my life. I never knew those were just dreams in the mind. Of course, I had them as a dream because I just wanted to clear my bills, right? Live a convenient life and just move on with my life. But that Hojo 6 Chome, they call it Chome in Japan. Hojo Roku Chome, if it's Japanese. The Hojo 6 Chome, that particular house where I resided at Daito city, was another round of warfare. It was another round of warfare. On getting to the area, I moved my things. Some people saw me. Are you the new person to take this house? I said yes. I greeted them, konnichiwa. In Japan, you take a bow and greet people, konnichiwa. They asked, do I speak Japanese? I said, Kyoto, as in very little Japanese. I understand little, I speak little. So they said I was welcome. At the time, they told me that everyone in the neighborhood pays a particular sum if you reside in the neighborhood, because it was built as though you are living in an apartment in a building. It was a complete building, it's an old building, right? No, I told you, those are house agents. They refurbish houses and make it look new. Upstairs, downstairs, within the same house. So they said everyone in the neighborhood pays a particular sum. I asked for the sum. They said 3,000 yen. Okay. I gave the money to them. They asked me where was I working. I told them I was job hunting because I was still job hunting at that time. And shortly before I left, I told you I went to the city hall. There is one thing they call Hello Work in Japan. Those ones are in charge of employment, especially for foreigners. They know you cannot speak Japanese, right? You can't be fluent in Japanese, and they want to be intermediary between you and the company. So I went to Hello Work, and there was one job I was looking at that time. But If it were to be that I was financially stable, I would have taken up that job. The person wanted to start an English conversation school from scratch, and he's putting in his best. It's like a vision. He had that vision, but the starting capital to hire a full-time employee was somewhat burdensome to him. So he wanted to start with part-time. When the school grows, then he was like, he's going to make it big. So I appreciated his vision. I was like, probably I could help him start and do my online work at the side, since I have a plan also for myself to earn something at the side. So I was thinking I could help him because, he wanted to push himself to do something spectacular, and also something makes him want to withdraw. So I wanted to be that force to push him that you can realize your vision. I wanted to do that, but when I counted the cost on my side, based on the situation I was in, I just needed a consistent income. The pay would majorly be on how many students come. So I had wanted to take it up, thinking my online business will make up for whatever I'm unable to get from the job, because I believe that if I start that school, it would work. The guy was willing to sponsor my visa, but when I considered the financial implication at that time, I felt getting a job with an assured pay was better for me, based on the situation I was in. If my online business was working, I would have helped him build his school. That's the truth. Because he was like, I will have a basic pay, then whichever money is realized from students coming, that will have a percentage, you understand? Because he wanted me to run the school for him, you understand? I wanted to do that. In fact, I thought I would do it, but when I saw that, oh my God, starting may be difficult, I just felt, no, this may be too much for me. That is the truth. And that was why I let that job go, because it wasn't a fixed pay that I could say I could plan myself on. It wasn't a fixed pay I could plan myself on. It was obvious that even the pay, as in the basic pay, would not clear my house rent, talk less of feeding and other things. So I had to let the job go because I wasn't sure of how much I would earn in a month. So I was like, since I was still receiving the benefits, the employment benefit, let me sit down with my online opportunity, the skills I've learned from making money online. Let me just sit down with it and make something out of it so that I can clear my bills. The focus was, I want to clear my bills and leave Japan. That was my focus. I just felt I shouldn't leave bills behind and go back to my country. So, and the neighborhood turned out to be sour. It turned out to be hostile because it was a neighborhood of witchcraft, as in witches in front, witches at the back, witches to the left, witches to the right. It started this way. I was in my study room. That day I was even trying to do my regular videos of inviting people to church, and I just felt a being pass through the wall and came behind my seat. I was like, what is this? I felt that strangeness. A being passed through the wall. The house I was residing in was like two buildings just separated by a wall. So the other neighbor was in their building, I was in the other building. The building, I think the building was one, but it was later demarcated, something like that. The kitchen is facing each other, the rooms facing each other, just demarcated by wall. So I knew something was strange. Somebody came here through the wall. I was like, what is this? I switched to the language of the spirit. I started speaking in tongues. I started praying, speaking in tongues. At this time, the warfare was strong. Pastor Dr. Topladytee speaking in tongues, language of the Spirit. Bishop Oyedepo's language of the Spirit. Apostle Joshua Selma, language of the Spirit. I combined everything together because everything was strange. Everything was strange. I combined everything together and I just had them downloaded on my phone and on my laptop. When I observed this evil thing came and stood at my back, I smiled within me and I started blowing tongues on my own. I think it's obvious. Fire has come, right? Fire has to clear the way. Fire, anything on the path of fire has to burn. The guy got uncomfortable, right? The spirit, whatever it was, got uncomfortable. And the way it came, it left. And you know what I will hear the next minute was people laughing the next door from the next house, as in that house that is joined to my home. People were laughing. They were laughing. I was like, oh, what I observed wasn't a mirage. It wasn't something that was not real. Oh. So you went into your cover, sat on your cover and wanted to appear in my room, wanted to know what was going on. It's fire that is going on. It's fire. At that point, when I got to the house, I prayed around the house and anointed the house and I dedicated it in the name of the Lord, that God, I come to stay here. Keep me as the apple of your eyes. Alright, so I continued. And one thing I observed, as much as I tried to do my work, things were not working. I was like, what type of house did I come to stay again? Things were not working. If I tried to, maybe I saw an opportunity online and I tried to, let me lay hands on this. It was like some people were snatching whatever, they were snatching it in the spirit realm, translating to the physical. I was like, what is this? God, I thought I'm done with this. It graduated from that to one day I was going for an interview, and that interview day was the day those waste management come to pick waste. The way I met it in the Daito city was different from the way they did it in the places I had lived in Japan. There used to be a house built for waste that you drop your waste in those places I had lived. But this particular Daito city, Ojo System, you have to put your waste, your personal waste, in front of your house. So when the waste management people are coming, they pick it. That day, I was in a hurry for the interview. I dropped my waste in front of the house, and I tried dressing up to go for the interview. On stepping out to go for the interview, I observed that my waste had disappeared and the waste management were yet to come. But I was in a hurry. I didn't want to miss the train schedule, so that I don't miss my appointment. I was like, I put one waste here. So, they speak Japanese, right? They are elderly people. That area is maybe reserved for elderly people. You barely see young people there, except for those parents that have children, right? So, one woman was trying to speak something, but I didn't hear, and I was also in a hurry so that I don't miss my interview. I left, and it was after I came back from the interview. I got to the interview. I wasn't picked. That interview was even about all those restaurants, I just wanted to do something. Less money coming, right? It wasn't something like a professional job. It was those restaurants that, let me just do something. So when I got home, I tried to reflect on what happened in the morning. The waste management were yet to come, and the waste disappeared in front of my house. Other people's waste were still in front of their houses. What happened to my own waste? I just plead the blood of Jesus that I'm covered, that it is well with me. You understand? I remembered that I dropped a particular body waste in that waste bag. I was like, no, what happened? This wasn't what I should take with levity. This was a big warfare. And not taken by the waste management, but by some persons within that neighborhood. I was skeptical. I was like, what happened? Other people have their waste in front of their house. Why is my own waste bag? Who took it? But because I was in a hurry to the interview, I just left the matter. Prior to my waste bag being taken, the night before the interview morning, I observed there was this particular book placed in front of my house. I saw some names. I saw my own name. Was it my name or my house? I also saw something that depicted that house I was living in. I saw that in that neighborhood they listed out some names. Was it 6 or 7 names? And they said I should put my name or something like signature where my house is. So I did that. And I placed it back on the doorpost. I didn't know who put it there. So I just circled my name. I saw others had circled their name. And I returned it back to where I picked it from. I didn't understand. Well, based on what I used Google to translate, it was like there was a meeting somewhere, probably in city, close to City Hall or something like that. And probably maybe it was social gathering. I couldn't pinpoint what it was, but I saw my name and I circled. And also, when I paid the 3,000, they said each house was paying. They gave me receipts and they told me to paste it on the door of my house. So I did that. They also requested that people in the neighborhood may not know me, so I should paste my name on the door, on the front door. I did that. I wrote my name in katakana and I pasted my name on the door. I did those things they told me to do. I didn't understand what it meant. I did it all the same. So when I saw this particular logbook placed on my bicycle parked in front of the house, and I saw my name, I circled it. The next morning was the interview. So when I came from the interview and I tried to reflect on what happened in the morning when my waste disappeared, and I remembered the appearance and disappearance through the wall to my house, I knew something was fishy, so I was praying. I prayed and I left the matter. But on remembering that my body waste was part of the thing I was taking in the morning, I knew no, this wasn't what I should take for granted. I had to face it spiritually. And I had connected the dots and knew this is an evil neighborhood. I had to do something because I just got to the house, right? I was still trying to settle down. Is it that I will now leave and say I am not living in the house again? What type of thing is this? I continued, I still kept on trying to get a job and everything, and trying to also build my online business, but I knew that things were not just working. Even the pay employment benefit, after I had taken some money to pay the house rent and sent some money to my children, there was barely nothing left. It was like just living from month to month, and it was just struggle. What is this? What exactly is this? So, when I observed that it was my body waste, when I remember that I had signed a document a day before, the following day they picked my waste in front of my house, I connected the dots. I knew something was fishy. I had to do some serious prayer. Remember where I was coming from. Remember what happened to me in the workplace. Now neighborhood wanted to continue where those ones stopped. I knew it was warfare. And I said it was a neighborhood of witches and wizards because I was like, this environment is strange. Before I paid for the house, it was a calm, cool place. But after I entered, it was something else. I was like, God, what is happening? Jesus, help me. I tried to settle down all the same, but when I observed that they took my body waste and probably wanted to present it on any altar or whatever, I knew it was warfare. It was strange to me. Where I was coming from, people put waste together. there was no specific waste that can be assigned to someone. But here they said we should put our waste in front of our houses. And the waste from my house disappeared. Something is wrong. I'm going to stop here now. The next video, I'm going to tell you exactly what happened afterward. If you're yet to subscribe to my channel, you're welcome to Topladytee Media channel. If you are new to my channel, please subscribe. I appreciate you. This is a real life story I'm talking here. I'm not trying to write a fiction or a non-fiction book or anything like that. This is what happened to me. First-hand information, and I published it in an ebook. If you want this ebook, you'll find the link in my video description. My ebook is on Amazon. You can get it there. It's titled "This called Japan, My Story" by Taiwo Tolulope. Please share this video. The lessons from this video, the lessons from our story will help somebody, and they will be glad you helped them. Please share this video. Thank you and God bless you. Cheers. Bye.